making their way back, as you say, at a horse's pace, at a walking pace, and people are absolutely in awe.
See the crowns and all the rest of the regalia travel into the service ahead of them is because historically, until they were crowned, they wouldn't necessarily become king. So he is the king, but he follows in the crown. But this service will duly place on his head once he's anointed by God.
A moment and watch this. Of course, both king and queen surrounded by pages, and the king's eldest grandson, George, has the honor of being one of those pages today. The regalia, and you can see that the king has chosen various people to carry these incredible regalia. You see Floella Benjamin was a children's TV presenter on the right, now a member of the House of Lords. The orb on the left, that you'll see the cross on the top is actually wonky, is now on our right, being carried to the right of the crown.
God save the king! Really, as I said, tens of thousands of people.
King and Queen Molly Hunter right there.
When I say that, it's they can look out on this crowd and think, I do have support. And they're only there with the support of the people. So this is a hugely important moment for Charles to really feel like they've all come out for him.
Yeah.
Previous state events, they come out for the Queen.
And Julia Chatterley, we just saw, if you were watching, if our viewers were watching, just saw some 4,000 troops gathered.
We've got all the seating, they've been given prime position, and they are nurses and social workers, and that's what Charles wants to express.
There's Catherine and Prince William.
I'm beating that crowd.
I have. No, I couldn't. I couldn't.
In the past, and I think part of that will be using Kate and William.
Slowly escorting people close to
Managed enthusiasm.
Managed enthusiasm. Is that what it is? It's a lot of British managed enthusiasm. So they're getting people up and doing it in a very, very orderly way.
Very orderly.
Yeah.
Indeed.
They make them wait for a week. And walk very slowly. I think they're home. There because they'll remove their headdresses and then they'll.
And I should point out, this is still a bit off because we're still seeing hundreds of troops moving toward Buckingham Palace. We're seeing some Grenadier Guards passing us by right
They're
here.
a minute late for the terrace so far. So, but I think they're waiting for the bands to get ready a couple of them. That's the. But so people around us, actually, most of them watching on big screens. Great atmosphere. And it's strange, the Brits sort of respond well to rain.
People are just ignoring the rain, just stiff upper lip and just
track on.
Track on. Now,
so the cavalry are heading back to the barracks. They're not part of this. So they're clearing the way. They've completed their duties, protecting the monarch on the procession.
Will Will the king and queen appear at this?
If we bring up the next picture, you'll see the terrace just on the left. They'll come out there.
Okay.
They're all facing them.
And and then that, of course, is the balcony where the family will appear.
Yeah, so that's going to be a bit later on.
Jubilee, and she's still, after having seen that crowd on the Mall ever since she was 14 months old, she was still marveling at it.
This is the high for King Charles, Richard. You're never normally so reserved.
No.
Right now, though, the 1.5-mile procession from Westminster Abbey, site of the coronation service, back to Buckingham Palace. And you see about 1,000 people actually lining this route, from the armed forces, the standard bearers of the Royal British Legion, uniformed civilian services, and youth organizations who are standing at attention. And they are going by right now. We are talking thousands of airmen, of seamen, of soldiers walking by right now. Sight to behold, and there are a lot of flags waving, in tune with the band going by me right now. It is extremely jubilant out here, Savannah. We're just around the corner.
Would have just ended, disappeared, and never even caught sight of the king. So they wanted them to all convene and gather out the back of Buckingham Palace so that they could then be saluted and salute the king. And that aspect, as you said, the timing's so key, will mean they suddenly have to speed up and file down as they go through the gates of the palace.
And every time that they go round a corner or through a narrower gap, they have to do this concertina movement where they change the pace when the speeds go up and down, and that causes a tailback. And exactly the same thing happens in these military processions. So they are amending their gait, the length of their steps, with every step to make sure they stay in line. So there's so much you can't see with the naked eye that's going on.
Well, and they can't see it because there's 4,000 of them. They are roughly 1.3 miles long on a route that's only 1.4 miles long. I mean, remarkable to keep all of this sort of thing in time.
And we're starting to see them file in behind us as they'll do that magic trick of squeezing in the gates of Buckingham Palace. As we await the Gold State coach's arrival here at Buckingham Palace, there have been stands set up and people have been able to listen to the ceremony. Lots of spontaneous applause at key moments, especially when the king was crowned. At that very moment, President Biden issued a tweet congratulating King Charles and Queen Camilla on their coronation. And so this day is unfolding here in a rainy London, but we're hoping that perhaps the skies will part for the military flyover that is planned for later this afternoon. As I turn to Tim Bouverie, who is our British historian, you look at a day like this, you reflect on it, and it really speaks to all the facets of the king's reign as ceremonial head of state, head of the armed forces, and head of the church.
Yes, certainly. We've had the ecclesiastical, the religious part. This is now the pomp and pageantry. And this was a ceremony, this procession back to the palace, which was really brought into its own reigning, who went through some periods of unpopularity following the collapse of his marriage and then the death of his first wife, Diana Prince. Every moment is captured in a way that it isn't or wasn't for the late Queen. But I
Later would quip that that was the time when they were trying to marry me off to Tricia Nixon. And of course that did not happen. But more recently, of course, he has met with former presidents Bush, Obama.
You're getting into Buckingham Palace.
Climate Agenda 10, a coronation. But a 23-year-old Jacqueline Bouvier was there 70 years ago for the coronation of Queen Elizabeth. She was a freelance reporter at the time, and she wrote in the Washington Times Herald
To catch a glimpse of their king, Wilfred.
I was just going to follow up from what Kristen was saying, and we all understand the reasons why the president is not here, and indeed that there is no precedent for a president to be here, and how great it is that the first lady's here. I will say, as someone who loves both countries, it's a bit of a shame. It would have been wonderful to see him here from head of state to head of state, inviting your fellow head of state. It's the most important day of King Charles's life. That it would have been nice to see, but
The president did say he was planning to make a visit in the coming days. So, Wilfred, there's something for everyone.
yeah, of course. No, totally. I just think it would have been great.
And traditionally, the reason that those planning a coronation here in Britain wouldn't have invited any heads of state in the past was because they didn't want the king or the queen to be outranked by any foreign.
It is a moment of real emphasis and importance how this will go down and how this new king and his queen will actually be relevant to people who are not as they were back in 1953 when Britain was celebrating a renaissance after World War II. The economy was only going to build. They had won the war. It's a very different moment right now.
This is the Buckingham Palace garden. It's not bad, is it?
Well, I was going to say, explain where that is, because so we are.
So the carriage has gone into the quadrangle, which is in the middle of the palace. So it's a square palace with an empty quadrangle in the centre. And then all of the military, 4,000 members of the military, are gathering in their units in Buckingham Palace garden. And then you're going to see the King and Queen come out on the West Terrace,
it's quite a garden.
where we are, where we are, and they're going to come out and they're going to receive a royal salute from 4,000 members of the military, paying tribute to their commander-in-chief. So this is a huge moment for them, but also for him as a military man as well.
And then after that, that is when we anticipate, probably in about 30 or so minutes from now, the appearance on the balcony, where a lot of Oz will be looking to see who is there, who is not there.
Yeah, so the initial appearance will be who's central to my monarchy, and then whether or not he invites the wider family is a question, that will be outstanding. I mean, he may well invite his entire family. He may well just keep it to him and the people that are the working royals. So that would be the Waleses, the Edinburghs, and maybe, well, it's the people that are in the procession, basically, the Kents and the Gloucesters, that many people wouldn't know, that do carry out public duties. Harry and Andrew aren't working royals, so they wouldn't be expected to appear in that. But if it was a wider group with cousins, then they would be expected to appear. But I'm getting the impression that Andrew's come back and Harry hasn't.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like Andrew certainly had more of a prominent role today than Prince Harry.
I think that'd be defined by the balcony appearance, but he certainly had a limousine, and Harry didn't have a limousine. What do you think, Christian?
I think this is the soap opera part of this whole royal story. Perhaps the entire thing can appear to many around the world to be a huge sort of Disneyland soap opera. Clearly there's so much history, goes back 1,000 years or more, and it has had the role over the centuries of trying to unite a country. But in this modern era, we've got Harry, who has chosen to move back and to essentially describe what it's like to be the younger brother in this monarchy, and of course it caused quite a lot of controversy. Also quite a lot of people read and watched his story, whether it was in the Netflix documentaries or in his own book, Spare. Prince Andrew is a whole different issue. He too, like Harry, were war heroes. Harry in Afghanistan, Andrew to the Falklands, but his relationship and the following court case and all of that in the Epstein affair has really cast a...
There's the arrival after the procession from Westminster Abbey. 4,000 troops will perform a royal salute to honor their new monarch. Here with Max Foster and Christian Amanpour, there's a crowd of probably about 1,000 or so nurses and members of the National Health Service who are applauding.
That iconic moment on the balcony of Charles and Diana's wedding, where Charles kissed Diana.
I do think the symbolism, the beauty, what we're going to see, fingers crossed, if they actually manage to take off here. So I'm saying bated breath.
Just a quickie, they've taken out the controversial Koh-i-Noor diamond from the Queen's crown. That was
It's the red airplanes.
much more than